Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. I really feel guided to come on today and talk about signs that a soul connection is thinking of you. The really beautiful thing about being connected in this giant web of collective consciousness, of human consciousness, is that anytime we send out an energy, it creates a vibration that is felt in the quantum field to some degree by the entire collective, by that whole web of consciousness. Now, of course, some are more open to receiving these energetic signals than others. The ones that are more open, we might call intuitive. But I'm getting that if you are someone who is aligning with this video today, you are most likely someone who is very intuitive, very energetically open, and a bit more sensitive than others. Now, of course, this does come with some difficulties and challenges being in this dense physical 3D earth plane realm, because a lot of the energies that your beautifully sensitive self can pick up on will oftentimes be lower vibrational, and this can be a bit disruptive. But a blessing of being energetically open and sensitive is that when it comes to intuiting, when someone is thinking or feeling something about you, you have a very high level of perception in that regard. Now, this is specifically true of those that you are more soul connected in with. And we're going to be getting into all of that in this video, specifically how to know that someone you are soul connected to, whether that's a soulmate or a twin flame, is thinking about you at this time. But before we get into that information, I do want to introduce myself to anyone who might be new to the channel. If you are new here, then welcome. My name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. Okay, so as I said in the intro, we as souls are all connected in to a gigantic web of collective consciousness. And I like to think of it as a web because although location and distance don't really exist in the quantum field in the same way that they do in the physical 3D world, this web of consciousness gives us a way to kind of pinpoint and conceptualize energy and put it into words and visuals, because of course, a lot of this information is high level, energetic kinds of information that can be a bit tricky to translate into physical words. So bear with me as I do my best to explain this concept here. But essentially, if you think of yourself as being on a pinpoint in this giant web of human consciousness, and you think of everyone you've ever seen or known or been connected to as being out there somewhere in that web as well, then we have to talk about distance in the quantum field, which of course, distance isn't physical in the quantum, it's actually vibrational. So when two things share a similar vibration, by the law of attraction, they are pulled together in the quantum field. If two things have an identical vibration, they are essentially on that same wavelength, that same pinpoint in this web of consciousness, and very attuned to each other's signals and energies to the highest degree. Because again, the law of attraction is the governing law of our universe, and it's constantly coordinating and organizing vibrations so that vibrations of a similar nature are pulled together like magnets, whereas vibrations that are very different or dissonant are repelled away from each other at this further distance. Okay, so as a soul, you have an energetic signature. this is a very personal frequency that you vibrate at. So this personal frequency is how you are heard and understood in all of the universe. And you infuse this frequency into everything you say, everything you do, especially the things that you create from a place of passion, because that passion is coming from the heart chakra, and heart chakra energy actually magnetizes that frequency to an even greater degree. So when you create something from the heart, it really takes on a kind of magnetism. But that's a subject for a different podcast video. Essentially, for the purposes of this video, you have this energetic signature, and every other soul has a signature as well. Souls that are part of what we think of as the same soul family, these are the ones we refer to loosely as soulmates, which of course could be either platonic or romantic in nature. Our soulmates are the ones that carry the most similar core soul frequency to our own. Now, of course, from some perspective, because we are all separated from some degree, by some degree, but all connected in this web of consciousness, you could say that just like you could say every human on the earth is a distant relative, you could say that every soul is a distant soulmate. But we tend to loosely refer to soulmates as the ones that we feel that close resonance with. It's kind of also equivalent to how you might loosely refer to someone as a friend, even if you've only hung out or met them a couple times and you kind of know them. You might call them a friend, and then you might have someone that you spend more time with that you call a best friend. But it's kind of hard to delineate exactly where that definition of a friend begins and ends, and let's say where the definition of an acquaintance would begin, someone who's further out. The same is true as soulmates. There's no real clear delineation between one soul cluster or soul family and another. It is just that. It's more so like clusters that then kind of branch out. Okay, so you, of course, have a soul family. You have a soul cluster. Those are the ones that are the most close to you in terms of frequency. Now, it is important to note that as you continue to raise your level of vibration to a, let's say, higher frequency state of being, it's kind of like going up in octaves. So just as you could be playing the same kind of tone but on different octaves, as a soul, when you do the inner work and you raise your frequency to a higher octave, you maintain that same personal energetic frequency signature, but you kind of rise up in terms of rising to a higher vibrational timeline, aligning with higher vibrational people, outcomes, etc., that are part of your soul group who are also doing the work and also aligning with their higher version of self. And the higher up you go, the more challenging it is to connect with other souls physically at times, because essentially you get into levels where there aren't a lot of others incarnated physically at that time that necessarily are at that high level of vibration, because you are resonating more so with kind of like the spiritual realm. So, a spirit guide will have an extremely high level of vibration, but they won't be necessarily physically incarnated. So you can raise your frequency to a point where, yes, there are still others who physically share that frequency, but this is why people who tend to be very awakened and spiritually minded and raise their frequency to a certain level tend to feel very alone and isolated at times. It's because they have this kind of frequency that becomes very rare, that's so high vibrational that very few people around them share that same frequency. Okay, so I know we got a little off track there. This is just such a fascinating topic to me and very interesting to dive into. There are so many videos we could do on this subject, but let's get back to how to know that one of your soulmates is thinking of you, speaking about you, feeling something about you? Well, it's actually much easier to tell when it's a soulmate because, like I said, in this web of consciousness, when you think or speak about someone or feel something about someone, it sends out a vibration. And when someone is part of your soul family, they are closer to you in this web of consciousness. Therefore, that signal is much more easily felt by your soulmates, by your soul family, than it would be by someone that is sharing a very, very different frequency from yours, someone who you wouldn't consider to be part of your soul family. Okay, so the thing here is it's also much easier to tell when someone's thinking or speaking about you, of course, if you have consciously interacted with them in this lifetime, because once you consciously interact with someone in this life, which we could consider to be activating a soul connection in this quantum field in a conscious way, this allows you to put a face and a name to the frequency that you've most likely always been feeling. This is why sometimes you can meet someone and say, I feel like I've always known you, or I feel like someone like you's always existed. This is because your souls have a very similar frequency. So technically, you've always been connected. You've always been sensing each other energetically. It's just that because of that veil of amnesia we take on as souls, you may not have consciously recognized where that frequency was coming from or who in the physical world it was coming from. But after meeting that person, you can put an identity, human-wise, physically, to that frequency signature that you were always sensing. So I'm going to assume for the purpose of this video that the soulmate or twin flame in question that you are wanting to know whether or not they're thinking of you, we're going to say that this is someone you consciously know or can put an identity to in the physical world. So you can put a face or a name to this person. You can recognize that energy signature once it reaches you. Well, once this energy reaches you, so let's say this person, this soulmate or twin flame is thinking or feeling something about you, they're sending out an energy, and that energy can be picked up at many different levels and layers of your being. So most of this energy is actually coming through the subconscious and then manifesting itself in strange ways that we're going to talk about in your physical world, in your physical body, etc. The whole language of our physical world, of nature itself, is actually energy and frequency, sound and vibration. So when someone is thinking or feeling about you, something, especially if they are a soulmate or a twin flame, someone who's closely connected to you in this quantum realm, it can even manifest itself in your physical world through what we refer to as synchronicity. So this is the number one sign that a soulmate or a twin flame is thinking of you. And this is that you experience synchronicity that directly links you to that person in the physical world. So for example, you might see a number that reminds you of this person. It could be their birthday. It could be a number significant to your connection. You might see or hear this person's name. You might hear something about their location if they live in a different city. Things occur in your physical world that immediately connect you back to this person. Now, pay attention to the way you feel when this synchronicity occurs. So when you see this synchronicity, does it make you feel a little nervous, a little excited, a little sad? Whatever feeling you get attached to that is most likely your subconscious trying to connect the dots here, trying to interpret in your physical world through your physical perception of these synchronicities an energy that you are picking up on from that person. And again, to go that extra mile here, if you're able to remember how you're feeling when you perceive that synchronicity in your physical world, then you might actually gain insight into exactly how that soulmate or twin flame was feeling about you. So just to put this all into an example, let's say you see a license plate with a number on it that is this person's birthday. You immediately think of them and feel kind of like this, almost like a punch in the gut kind of sadness or longing. This can be an indication that that particular person is missing you, longing you, thinking about you with that longing energy, and you are picking up through your perception of that synchronicity, their energy and the emotion that's attached to it. So the number 2 sign that you are being thought about or spoken about by a twin flame, who is someone who shares your identical core soul frequency, or by a soulmate, someone with a similar frequency of their soul, is that you pick up the phone and get a strong urge to reach out to them, especially if this urge doesn't really feel connected to anything in your physical world, doesn't feel connected to even how you're feeling in the moment. So you might not be actively thinking about this person, and all of a sudden you think, I should call them or I should text them. Again, this of course will only be relevant if you have their contact information. This can very often be a sign that this soulmate or twin flame is heavily thinking of contacting or reaching out to you, and subconsciously you are receiving the signals that they are doing that. You are receiving essentially the mind's eye, the third eye intuitive visuals that they are picking up the phone and thinking about texting or calling you. And that's actually causing you to want to reach out to them. It's kind of like a reverse form of manifestation here, where you can sense someone trying to manifest contact or communication with you. The third sign that a soulmate or twin flame is thinking about you is that you will actually begin to dream about them very vividly, very intensely. Of course, this isn't a necessary sign. None of these signs are surefire. So it's not like a checklist. These are more like general guideposts of things that could happen when a soulmate or twin flame is thinking or feeling something about you. So pay attention if you start to have dreams where a certain person, especially someone you're soul connected to in some way, is talking with you, is with you, communicating with you in some way. This can very often be a dream manifestation of their subconscious mind trying to communicate with yours, essentially their soul trying to communicate something to you. And sometimes messages that you receive in the dream can actually be related to how this person is thinking or feeling in real time. Now, of course, dreams can be a little bit tricky because there are many different forms of dreams, and some dreams are manifestations of our own subconscious thoughts, fears, etc. Other dreams are actual soul meetings, in a sense, where we are connecting in consciousness with other souls, and that can all be a little challenging to sort out. So if you would like to start beginning to get clarity, signals, signs through your dreams, I would recommend keeping a dream journal so you can begin to kind of pinpoint where these dreams are coming from, and notice when you have a dream that feels of a heightened spiritual significance, such as in these specific dreams where someone is thinking about you or sending you that energy, and you are picking up on it through a dream. Now, I am going to get into the fourth and final sign that a soulmate or twin flame is thinking of you. But first, I do want to share with you my most powerful tool and resource for manifesting in my own life, and these are subliminals. Subliminals are audio meditations that contain unconscious spoken affirmations, and unlike traditional affirmations, these are designed to bypass the conscious filter of the mind and make deeper, more lasting impressions on the subconscious mind, which is so powerful because research has shown it's actually the subconscious that controls 95% of our thoughts, actions, and outcomes in life. So when we shift what's happening in our own subconscious mind, we can alter reality very quickly. This is especially true when it comes to scenarios like how someone is thinking or feeling about you, because our subconscious mind is connected to theirs. So when you shift what's happening in your own subconscious, you can actually alter the way that someone else thinks or feels about you because of this interconnectedness. So I've created and shared my subliminals through my app, Sound and Soulful, which, as you can see on the screen, on this app, I have over 130 subliminals for essentially every area of life. And when you sign up for a 7-day free trial account in the app, you can try out any subliminal I've created. You can create your own custom private playlists, and you can even read the affirmations while you are listening. So specifically in the context of this video, I would most highly recommend my subliminal for love magnetism, because as we've been saying, when you shift how you feel about yourself and how you feel about another person, you actually alter how that person feels about you. And with this love magnetism subliminal, it's designed to help you release any blockages to unconditional love energy that could be preventing or blocking certain love connections in your life. So I found that through listening to this subliminal, I attract many more positive interactions, positive experiences, and beautiful connections into my life. So this isn't just limited to love and romance, although it could be used specifically to deepen the bond energetically with a specific person as well. So the link to download my Sound and Soulful Subliminals app is in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video. Okay, so the fourth and final sign that a soulmate or twin flame is thinking about you is that you begin to pick up on physical sensations that are actually coming from that person's reality, almost like wires are getting crossed here. Like when you're listening to the radio and you are on a certain frequency, but you get bleed through from another frequency. This is a bit hard to put into words, but for example, this can happen even physically. So sometimes these are called phantom smells, phantom touches, but sometimes you can begin to feel or smell or experience what that person is experiencing even when you're not around them. So you might smell their cologne, you might smell their perfume if that's the kind of scent that they wear. You might actually feel the effects of some kind of substance that this person is using. You might feel their emotions. If they're feeling really sad or really happy, you might actually feel this emotion in your own being. And the key is here that whatever these triggers are through your physical senses, when it happens, you immediately see this person's face or hear their name, or like somehow your mind is connecting that sensation to them. That is your intuition possibly communicating to you that you're picking up on the energy of that person, because through heavily thinking and feeling things about you, they are strengthening that energetic bond between the two of you that is kind of connecting you in a strange way in the quantum realm. So I really hope this video was helpful to someone out there listening. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments under the video. Have you experienced any of these signs? Of course, if you do resonate with me, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, join our beautiful community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at Magnetize Yourself. If you do feel guided to try out my Love Magnetism Subliminal, the link to download my Subliminals app is in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video. Otherwise, I am sending you all so much love today. Have a beautiful remainder of your day, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.